All right, kind of a tough week, huh? Don't worry, I'm back. If you've never seen me before, my name is Sammy from Infinity Aura Avenue, and these are my moon meetings. So let's check in with the astrology. Now, if you have seen me before, since the last time I saw you, a lot of the energy has moved from Capricorn to Aquarius. Now, what does that mean for you? Let's talk about that before we talk about the new moon. This shift from Capricorn, which is very structured. Mind you, both planets, both zodiac signs ruled by Saturn. So these are the two applications of Saturn, but they're both very, very different. Capricorn is very organized and strict and working on this plan and this structure all the time. If you know somebody who's a Capricorn, a lot of the times, like if they feel you seem like, oh, they're disassociated, they're not. There's 10,000 things going on in their head about what has to happen next and in what order and how they have to do it to achieve these things they got to achieve all the time. That's the energy that we were in previously. Now, the shift is from this planning aspect of Saturn in Capricorn to this, here are my ideas and this is how I'm going to present them. So if you know any Aquariuses, it's very fixed energy. Like you tell them that they're wrong and it's like, let me tell you actually why I'm right. And this is the way that I'm still going to do it. Also had the sun on top of Pluto in Aquarius. And this is big, big changes that influence you psychologically and emotionally in whatever good or bad. It's just a big change that influences you psychologically and emotionally. The date for that was January 20th. I'm going to let you. Shortly after that, Mercury also moves into Aquarius. Mercury is going to be here for a few weeks. So what you want to do is use this energy to take the emotion out of the way you think and communicate. And usually that's what they would call a negative aspect of the of Mercury in Aquarius. But with the combination of what's going on, this is why I don't like the negative and aspect thing when it comes to astrology. Like you read something and say this is how they are and it's bad. It has its uses. So taking the emotion out of the way that you communicate and try to and you think and not really do things, that would be more Mars, but taking the emotion out of that, not always a bad thing, especially when emotions are running high. Now we get the new moon. The date is Wednesday, January 29th at 4:36 p.m. It's exact, but like I always tell you, you'll feel the new moon energy 2 days, sometimes 3 days before and after. Don't have to do a ritual or journaling or whatever when it hits exact. You have time to work with this energy. So what are we going to do? New moon in Aquarius, you want to focus on your individuality and how it coordinates with your community. How do you fit in to your community? Okay, where I'm not talking about big picture things here. I'm talking about how you relate, who you relate to, who's in your immediate communities that you don't really have control over, and who's in your communities that you can go and join and find different kinds of energy in. This is looking at where you fit in, where you don't fit in, how you can make it a little bit easier to be part of these communities that you don't necessarily fit into, and how you can use the communities that you do fit into and what your role is in both of those. This new moon is trine Jupiter in Gemini, which is usually nice, but Jupiter is in detriment, so he's not really happy in Gemini. But since there's a trine here, you can use the new moon energy to help Jupiter out a little bit. Now, what does that mean in English? If you don't know astrology, I say a lot of things sometimes, and you're like, what? Let me clarify. The big picture goals can seem a little bit chaotic right now. Focusing on the new moon energy will help Jupiter out from, because Jupiter is that big goal energy and it can seem like a lot right now and all over the place and maybe even like you can't achieve it just because of Jupiter's also retrograde. So the energy's not doing a lot of moving right now. It's actually doing a lot of reviewing. If you can lean into this new moon, you'll be able to be more realistic about your big goals. They won't seem so crazy. Moon is square Uranus in Taurus. What does that mean? This could give the feeling that something is in the way of what you're trying to manifest with this energy. So if you've been intention setting, if you've been here with me since December and we're working on these New Year's, new me goals because I told you this was a big year for that. And I don't say that every year. They're frustrating right now. Okay. Let me validate you. Yeah, you're having a hard time. Okay. That doesn't mean it's never going to happen. It just means you're currently having a hard time. That's where the energy is right now. And there's a reason for it. And you just have to work with it. Luckily, you've got support from some dreamy Pisces energy we have going on. Saturn, Venus, Neptune. This is stability. It's like sweet, happy, loving energy with delusion that's building something. All here together with the North Node. This is not about where you've been. This is about where you're going. So you're having these challenges and it's hard to move forward right now because Mars is also retrograde. There's not a lot of forward moving energy. But there's this energy in the back where it's like, oh, but I could have these things and it would look like this and do that and lean into that. Because like I said, this is not where you've been. This is different. So I want you to ask yourself, how can I come together with the communities that I'm part of to achieve things together, not just for me, not and where do I fall into these communities? Where's my place and how do I support them and how do they support me to move towards this bigger thing that I have going on? And what are their bigger things maybe? Like what's going on over there that I can be a part of that I have these attributes attributes that can help and they have those attributes that can help me and we can come together, or maybe sometimes you just have to figure out how to coexist. It really depends on the community. Like I said, there's some communities that you're part of just because you're part of them and that's the way the universe has put you in these communities, and then there's other communities that you go out and you find and they're a little bit easier to be a part of. I guess. Like I said, Mars is still retrograde. There's not a lot of energy of actually getting things done, and it's been like that for a while. Um, but the energy is in the planning right now. The planning needs some ironing out, anyways. So you might have had a little bit of spark here and there with what you're trying to do, and but the consistency is off. So the planning needs to be addressed in these aspects. And I also want to tell you, you can't rely on motivation. 90% of it is discipline because there's days that you won't be motivated. You just don't want to do it. The discipline comes first and the motivation comes sometimes. When Mars goes direct in the future, the energy that's been feeling stuck is going to start to unravel a little bit and you'll see some progress, whether you've worked on it or not. Okay, things will start moving forward, whether you've focused on this and put your mind to it. And so give yourself some grace, be 5 steps ahead, look at these things because the energy is going to take off with or without you. And you can either be like, oh my gosh, or you could be like, oh, I planned for this. Let's go. Put yourself in a position to win when the energy is ready to see what you have to offer. Because at one point, the universe is going to be like, okay, so what's up? And you're either ready or you're not. So that's what I have for you guys today for the new moon in Aquarius, January 29th. Let me know if it resonated in the comments. Send it to a friend in your community that needs to hear it. And I'm Sammy from Infinity Aura app, and I will see you in the next moon meeting.